welcome, 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 welcome. As usual, I'm going to start this off with me just doing the checkaroo. Make sure everything is streaming good. Everyone can see me, hear me, know what's going on. So just checking the feeds for everything. Making sure we have everybody rocking and rolling. Taking a look at what we got here. All right. There we go. Looks like we have a stream coming through. All right. There we go. We got some peeps in here now. Okay. Hello, everybody. So can everybody hear me okay? I'll hopefully see my screen. From my side, it looks like everything's coming through well. We'll do an audio check for my audio. Make sure that we're good to go. If someone could give me a little chat acknowledgement, that would be great for me and helpful to make sure I do know what's going on your side. So that would be a great help. We're going to continue playing with building this X-Wing. So I'm taking these streams opportunities, obviously, to talk about ZBrush, show you guys things about ZBrush. But, you know, in all fairness, I want to make some artwork, too. Let's have some fun. Right now, I don't see any chats coming through. So if one of you could just say hello in the chat, that'd be great. Just for my sake to know what's going on. Looks like my microphone is good. Bouncing around. All right. We got a little floor grid happiness now. Put a little referencing in there. So I still don't see any chat coming through on my side. Okay, your backing sounds good. It sounds good. Okay, hold on. My chat app is not refreshing correctly. So give me a minute and see. Red wax versus all wipeout. I like it. Okay, hold on. Let me restart my chat app because it's not showing me everything. So give me a second. Sorry, it's not showing that. Talk amongst yourself. Coffee talk. Coffee talk. How many are using the iPad version versus the desktop? Okay, let's see. Restarted. Okay, so now let's say, I'm going to say hello. There, I said hello. Let's make sure it's going through. Okay, boom. Okay, I see it on my side again now. Okay, yeah. If the chat comes through, can you go over how you would do panel lines? Absolutely, I can do it. Okay, so there is a couple ways that I would tend to do panel lines. I literally make the decision based upon kind of the model and what we're going to do. So, for example, obviously this is what we're going to start getting into a little bit. I was thinking about finishing off the afterburners here. So these panel lines here and through here, right? So I have some here already on the wing. So we'll turn off the floor grid for now. So I have some on the panels here and things like this. So like when I did the TIE Fighter, I did it in one way. For the X-Wing, I'm actually doing it a different way right now. So I'll show you both because I think it's relevant based upon the model that you're working on. That's going to be what drives you to the kind of technique maybe they would use, because one might be better than another. So I'll show you the sculptural one. So let's just do it on this guy right here. So you can see it's really low polygon. So I'm going to clone this just so we're only looking at this and paying attention to this. And the sculptural one, we of course are going to need some topology. So we're going to need to take these dynamic subdivisions and apply them. So I'm going to say apply, and now we're sitting at subdivision level 6, but we're only sitting at, here I'll magnify it, we're only sitting at 133,000 polygons. So it's not a lot, of polygons. So I'm going to actually divide up even more. And you'll see, I'll divide up maybe 2 times. And 2 million's not bad. I probably, for this, might even go one more level and go all the way to level 9. And I briefly want to take a minute. This is super important. The fact that I could possibly have 9 subdivision levels is huge. In fact, I can go to 10 subdivision levels with this model. So this is some of the reasoning why maybe you do low, below, low polygon, is you get more flexibility, more freedom with your subdivision levels. And that's actually very important. It's an important step for when you're sculpting and what you're doing and how you're going to work, okay? So we'll just start with this. My favorite brush for panel lines, and we can make our own, right? You can go endless with this, is the chisel brush. So all this is kind of like a VDM. So this is a VDM brushes. So all these have different paneling, right? So now sculpturally, I'm going to turn symmetry off for now, and we'll stick with the big. You get this, right? So now this panel line is also very unique. And the fact that it has 2, right? There's 2 levels to this. And then so there's another one that's going to have 2 levels. Like this one's got a nice big cut in, and then it's got a skinny one. What I also like about these brushes, which I was going to use on my afterburners, is if you do the opposite, like you get this raised surface now too. That looks pretty cool. That I would use often on hard surface as well. Sometimes this is good to go, right? So, wait a minute, the sound's low? Really? I've got everything turned up. I can see it pumping in OBS. Here, let me even crank it up even more then. Here, how about this is, let me know this is cracking because I'm now in the yellow when I talk. So, at least that's what OBS is telling me. Tell me how that feels. Aaron, I'm happy to help. This is why I'm coming back to streaming too. I miss you guys. I miss being able to talk to you all. This is an important thing, I think, for me over the years, being able to talk to you guys like this. So I enjoy this. This is what all my Fridays are going to be coming now as, is time with you all. It's way more fun for me too. Okay, so these are, as you can see, just panels, right? Really easy. And of course, you can knock your intensity down so they're not so aggressive, right? So if you want to keep knocking that down, you can find maybe how deep do you want to go in these cavities. And then now your draw size is your, in essence, your panel line. Okay, so if I want something that's more like a rounded cut, like something as simple as that, then there you go. How deep do I want to go is your intensity then. Okay, so I'm going to stay at full sides. Okay, Cosmic Legend, thank you. Okay, now that I know that. All right, so this is the first thing. I need division. I need to be able to sculpt like this, right, and make some lines and come across. Now, what's going to happen here is if you guys start doing this and this, you're going to want to come across lines like this, okay? So you want to do that right there. So this is something I want to highlight as well right now. So you can see how nice this is and how nice that is. And then this one, not so much. Okay, there's a reason for that. And we're going to go all the way back to the beginning. And it has to do with this, right? So my original model, the topology, there's a really big polygon, small polygon. So if we turn off dynamic, like this, look at like how big that is right there, right? Look how big this polygon is. So this could be worth an understanding going, hey, you know what? I'm going to put some panel lines through here. I'm going to put a bunch of panel lines up here. So it would be worth it. And then this, what we'll lose is all those subdivision levels that I was gaining. Okay, so what I would do here is I would switch to, multiple edge loops, and I would say keep groups is what I would say here. Okay, this is where I would go with that. I'm going to, now I see the streams coming through, I'm going to kill that. All right, so what I want to do now is give it some more topology. So I'm just going to add some edge loops in here is what you want to do, okay? So you want to have interactive, keep polygroups, and then just, go through like this. I would say you just want to kind of have like an even level number. Like that's probably enough through there. I don't know if I need to go that dense. I'd say somewhere maybe around there. And then I would say same thing if I went in here, let's add some more topology through here. That's just going to help things for when we go to sculpt. Okay. And then this direction, okay, is all about also the type of topology. That obviously you can add a couple more in here, at least that. Add another one in here. I'd say maybe add at least that in there. Just to start creating a little bit more consistency with the topology. Now I would apply, and now you can see level 6, I'm already at 425,000. Previous we were around, if I remember right, around that 130 number. So when I divide up again, I'm already at 1.7 million. Level 8's now already at 6.8 million. If you guys remember, the previous level 8 was more in the 2 million range. So you can see adding all this topology is changing things, but I'm adding it for a reason. I like to say when I'm sculpting, I'm playing chess, or, you know, a cake, a layering, because I know I'm going to do stuff like this, and see now my stroke is going to be better quality, because now I've got more consistency like this, okay? And that's kind of what I want. So when we start sculpting like this, and like that, and like that, okay, you're going to start having, when you go slow, this kind of stuff. I'm going to zoom up in there. You're going to have this ugliness happening right there. That's happening because the stroke, when I'm going over the stroke here, okay, once I hit now that dip, it's a dip. So the brush needs to interact with that dip and then continue on, then interact with the next dip and then continue on, right? So it's doing this kind of a thing. So this is another reason why I use this brush. So the first thing that we're going to want to do, I'm going to go bigger just for the sake so you guys can visually see this better too. Okay, it's just, I think it would be better for you all. Like that. That is just bleh. No, thank you. Okay, and this technique, by the way, I've made multiple Star Wars. I've even done stuff for Disney and Hasbro, and this is one of my go-tos for scribing lines. So the next step I'm going to do after I divide up is I'm going to store a morph target on the highest level. That's what I want to do. Okay, and then now when I go to sculpt across here and then sculpt across, you'll see no matter how many times I get a nice clean result. Like it looks perfect for me. That's what I want it. That's what I want it to do. Okay, so I've got now nice, perfect. That's what I want. So now how do I take this idea and this approach is I look at now saying, okay, I'm going to want some scribe lines. So I want to now do this, where I can make just a straight line, come across, go back, and then come across if I wanted to. Okay, and then there's a panel. And then now I want to go from here to here. There's a cut there. Now I want to go, I'm going to turn on symmetry. And this time I'm going to start from the middle and say I want to go here and then on an angle to here. Right? And now you can start looking at things in this sense, right? So when I turn on that symmetry, I'm looking to snap in the middle and then making sure I can get the same kind of result, okay? So it looks like my model is not symmetrical, so I'll need to fix that. So this opens up a ton of things. So this line that I am getting right now, okay, the line is all driven by lazy mouse. So in this brush, the other thing that is on is lazy mouse. So you can see this is on by default, and we want it on by default because if you look at the chisel brushes, it's a circle, right? And what we're doing is dropping it multiple times. So the lazy stepping is dropping it really fast. So like if you put this lower, right, you're going to drop even more and more and more and more and more of the dots, like kind of the way this is working. So in some cases, you might get even a little bit better of a smoother stroke through there, okay? So I want this on anyways, because with this on, I can then tap on the surface, hold the shift key, and this is what gives me this line now. Like this is something I literally was like when we were developing, like I need this. This is something I need to have, all right? It was really important for me to have this. I really needed this for this kind of reasons. This is the stuff I knew I was doing. And I really want to have this ability to do some scribe lines, okay? So I'm going to, let me go all the way to the beginning. Let's fix my symmetry problem. It looks like at some point I went off symmetry with this. So let's do this a little mirror and weld and make sure. And you know what it is? It's probably, oh wait, we went too far. Let's put our geometry back in here. So put some there, put one there. Let's put a bunch through there. Perfect. We'll apply that, divide that up. There. Good. Good. And then now, oops, let's switch to the chisel again. And there, looks like now we are good to go. Okay, there. Now it is symmetrical. So I turned on my local sim. Let's make that morph target. All right, so back to the lazy mouse thought process here. Is now that I have this on, the other thing that I can take advantage of this is the lazy snapping. Right, so what I want to do here is I actually want to turn this on. This could be very beneficial. The reason why I want to turn this on, and what this does for us, is if I'm drawing, say, something like this, right, and now I want to move the model like that, and now maybe I want to come this direction, this allows me to do that. So if I do this, see where the red line is starting? See how it's starting inside that last point of where I went? So now you can't even tell that we rotated the model. Okay, so this slider right here is controlling, hey, how close do you need to get to the last point of interest from your stroke? And obviously, if you turn this all the way up, I don't even need to get that close. Like, I can be way out here and see the red line starting. Okay, so I'm going to do it again. Let's zoom in. Let's zoom in. So, okay, so here we are. I click, and I start, I want to start drawing. This is looking at this. So if I click here, see that red line? Started there, and now I can go, right? So if I pull further back now, I don't need to be as close, and there's the red line, and now I can do something like, hey, let's go on this angle, then let's go here, okay? I want to now have this keep going down the line. So you see where it started, and then you just keep rocking and rolling. So if you're going to make your own version of this, your own brush of this, okay, the one thing I would say is, obviously I'm using a Cintiq right now, then the number one thing I would probably do for this brush is turn off actually pressure sensitivity. I don't want any pressure sensitivity with this at all. I don't want this to change. I want this to be consistent stroke. So in the brush palette, this brush has tablet pressure, this size. I would turn this up all the way usually too. That way I don't have any pressure sensitivity coming into play with this and affecting this, right? So even if I go really light or if I go really strong, it's the same no matter what I do as far as the pressure goes, the sizing goes. So you're going to want to do that. So in essence, this is a way to do the scribe lines, okay? This is one way. This is a sculptural way to do it. And now you just keep working. And the other beauty of having a morph target, in all honesty, what's also very nice for us to have a morph target with is, let's say if I do something like this, I go, yeah, I don't know if I like that one all the way. If you switch to the morph brush as well, you can then erase. Okay, and then what I would probably recommend for this too is maybe throw on a little bit harsher of an alpha for that. So I could say maybe this one, the squared alpha, and now it's going to be a little bit more harsh of a erase, right? And then now, see, look, you can just literally erase everything if you wanted to, right? So if I go to bigger brush size, now you're talking, right? So this is also the beauty of doing that, okay? So if I switch, none, some. So this is a great way to work and a great technique for you to work this way, for sure. Okay? And then, yeah, it's holding the shift to make a straight line. Yeah, I know that, Hudson, I know the title's wrong. I'm not able to change it. Okay, next time. Oh, you're talking about remove the audio and put it back in? Is it really bad, the audio? Because that's 5 seconds to do that. Is the audio too bad right now? Do you need me to do what, Henry, what you're saying? Is it really that bad? Because the mic is like right next to me, and usually I'm loud. So unless, and I use this for meetings, and we're good to go in meetings. Hey, everyone can hear me, and the mic isn't this close to me. Let me know if you need to change. We need to change that. Okay, so that's one technique for sure. Another one to be, and this is again a different thought process. I'm going to clone this one again, And this time, I'm not going to divide up. I'm going to leave it low, low, low polygon. Okay? So there is a different idea and different technique. The one I'm going to show, it is more non-destructive, even though the previous one is non-destructive in the sense I can use a morph target to erase things. This one is completely non-destructive. All right, the audio is that bad, so let me remove my microphone and put it back in and see if we get an improvement. I don't know why it's so bad. I don't get this complaint in meetings, or maybe they're just not telling me. All right, so let me remove and add the microphone, okay? 1 second. Tell me if this one's better. Actually, it's not seeing my one microphone is what seems to be the problem. Does this one sound better? Okay, I'm going to use this one and see what that does. Does this one sound better? Hold on, let me get to the chat and see. Way better? Way better. Like, leaps and bounds. Oh, okay. All right, so interesting. Okay, I'm gonna have to probably do something. I think OBS, I have 2 microphones, right? And my webcam's got a microphone, and I think it's got the names wrong in OBS in essence. So the microphone that's supposed to be my Yeti, it's calling it my camera microphone. So I think that's what happened. Okay, super professional found. Okay, perfect. All right, that's good. Good to know. But we'll fix this for sure next stream. Okay, so this is a different technique, and this might be important for you to think about just another way. Or in essence, hey, you want to preserve this still. You want to preserve the low polygon version of this because you're still building things maybe, and it's easier to change things on low polygon level. You want to use some more maybe ZModeler on it. There's various reasons, right, that you might want to have this version. Okay, so here's a technique I like to use. I'm going to keep this one, and I'm going to duplicate and make another version of this. I don't need this one. I'm going to make a new polygroup of this. Right, and now what I want to do is I want to convert this one into some topology again. Right, and something, a little bit around there is pretty good. That's not bad. I don't need anything super dense, but I want something relatively dense for me, okay? And what I like to do is start using the slice brush. Now, the other thing that can come benefit for us, if I go backwards, what you might want to think about working in your favor is before you even apply this, right? Looking at the low version, it could be worth it for you to make like the main plane shifts their own polygroups, right? So stuff like this, like that's different. I'm just telling you from the years of me wanting to do this has been crucial to kind of say, okay, this whole thing here is, I want that to be a different polygroup.
I want the top. I'm going to show you why it'd be worth your time to kind of do this as well, because I found it very valuable for me. If I say, okay, this is a new one here, and then that can stay, and then this, let's just say this is a green one there. That can stay blue now. In the back, let's just fix the black now. So I'm using ZBrush. You could, of course, also come down over here into polygroups, and then there's group by normals, right? And if you turn this on, that's a different algorithm. It's a little bit more aggressive, understands it, and you can see without changing anything, it started spotting things. Then I can drop the angle to more like 20 degrees, okay, and have it start looking more and more at the model, okay? This is allowing you to have different polygrouping like that, okay? So I'm going to go back to this version, right? There's a reason why you might take the time to do this. I'm not saying you need to do this, but it makes sense. I like to kind of prep myself down the pipeline and down where I'm going with this. So I'm going to add those polygroups. I'm going to say, let's turn on dynamic again. Let's apply it, and I'm going to delete, right? And then now for paneling, I'm going to start looking at destroying this mesh actually. And I'm going to say, I don't even care about the lines anymore. I just want to look at the polygrouping. That's all I care about, all right? And so I'm going to switch to something, say like a slice, okay? And then now if I slice across, I'm getting multiple polygroups right there, right? I'm getting multiple rainbows of polygrouping here. Now, this is why I might polygroup it. I can do this and only look at the green, cut across, and now that panel's line cut is only right there. It doesn't touch this one right here. So if you don't want to use visibility, you can also just cut from here to here, and you can see the green becomes staying green and then purple, which is by the gradient. So if I went this way, right now it's this direction where the polygroup's changing, right? So this becomes important of what do you want like that, right? But you can see if I just want to do a polygroup because I want to do stuff like this and just be quick, you can do that, right? Just comes in handy for you. So I can say, hey, let's look at just this top part and let's start making some panels. Okay, so I'm gonna go, let's do a rectangle here on the top. I'm gonna say, let's do something like this. Okay, that looks good. And don't forget, we're gonna start using mirror and welding as well. Let's go ahead and now do a slice curve, and I'm gonna say, let's go here, and then I want it to come this direction, and then I wanna come straight across like this. I wanna make sure I'm doing certain things. So what I'm gonna start looking at is this up here. Look up here. This right here. What's up, Flower Power 3000? It's been a long time. So I'm gonna start using things like this, right? I'm gonna start using mirror and weld in essence to give me the other side. Okay, if you think about it, all right? So I'm gonna say, hey, I kinda wanna make sure if I'm doing this angle and coming across like this, right? I might wanna go and think about, I wanna come all the way across and then cut across like that. And then now when I mirror and weld, it gives me something like this, okay? So I'm gonna go, let's have a little fun with this. I'm gonna say, okay, let's come in through here. All right, and I'm gonna say, let's go from here. And let's do maybe on a little bit of an angle. And then I'm gonna go across like this. All right, and then I'm gonna show everything and mirror and weld. Okay, now I've got this. So what you might wanna think about doing while you're doing this stuff, as you see, we're getting this up here, right? So this again comes down to visibility. If I am showing less up here, all I care about is this part down, like say down here at the bottom, right? And then this is the kind of stuff that I can start to do. I mirror and weld over, and there it is. I don't care that it's dirty over there, because I know mirror and weld is going to help me out with that process. Okay? And then I can say, okay, from here, I want to come straight down, something like that. And then I'm going to mirror and weld that over. So now we have something like that. Let's grab the blue and the green this time, and let's go straight across. Let's do something like that. Okay? And so we've now got a polygroup like this. Whoops, sorry. Okay? we've got this polygroup, and I keep changing the color to something that is not great. We got this polygroup. So you got multiple polygroups through here. And so what I want to do is saying now I can say, let's take all the ones that I cut and let's really take a look at this. And let's take a look at these here. All right. And now I want to make some nice, just simple scribe lines going through here and allowing me to have this. So the one thing I'll start to look at is going, what I want is where I made all these cuts, I want a brush to show up now. All right, so I'm going to switch to one of my favorite other brushes, which is this extruder profile brush. This is, again, giving me profiles here. Right, so when I'm just going to pick one of them and draw this out. And so what this is, it's the shape that we have here. And you can see it's the same thing on the top and the bottom. And then I can switch to any one of these, and obviously I can tap, and then I got a different one. I can switch to something like this and tap. So this is going to be really crucial and important for me. All right, so I'm going to undo this, and then I'm going to say, let's now, one more time, let's insert something. It's not relevant what we're inserting. Okay, it's not even relevance at all what we insert. So I'm going to just drop this. I'm going to say, let's scale this way down so it's like it's sitting inside the X-wing body now, right? It's just sitting there. It's tiny. That's fine. Okay, and what I'm going to use is live Boolean now, right? So I'm going to say, let's go back to this. I'm going to turn this into a subtractive here, okay? But what I can do on top of that is to say, if you remember, I already made a copy here, right? So what I'm going to do is, instead of this, I'm going to turn this into a subtractive for me down the line. So I'm going to do just this right now so you can see where I'm traveling here. So now if I have this, I got this mesh, but when I draw, okay, this is what I'm getting. But now if I turn on the subtract option, then I do this, you can see I'm making scribe lines. And then the beauty of this, I can quickly, hey, what does that one look like? Maybe I want it to be more like that. What's that look like if I go a lot smaller, right? And I start pulling on this. So you can see this is what you get for your scribe line. And I can say, let's go even smaller here, right? So there's different levels of this. And the beauty is, again, this is happening, but really it's its own subtool that looks like this, right? So I'm taking this approach and this idea and saying, okay, let's take advantage of this, and we're going to turn this in. This is why I duplicated it, because I knew I wanted to divide up, okay, and then go forward. Sweets, I am modeling the X-wing right now. So here, they're asking me about scribe lines, so this is what I'm modeling, is this. So they're asking a technique, so I'm showing them just a technique. That a question came up. All right, so what I want to do is I'm going to grab this. Okay, these are the ones I care about. I have a brush right now that is having extrusion, and it's on a curve. So I'm going to go to stroke. I'm going to go to the curve functions, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off crease edges, and I'm going to turn off border. And the only thing I'm going to keep on is polygroup, and I'm going to hit frame mesh. And you'll see I get curves automatically where each one of my polygroup cuts were. So now if I go, let's go small, let's go size of 3. I like this. Now all you need to do, I'm going to turn off symmetry because I don't even need it. Tap, and what did I get is I got that. I got these pieces. So if I now come over here and split and say unmasked points, we turn that one off, turn the top one back on. All right, this is what I just made, is this. Okay, so if you see that, that's what I just made. And now all I do is turn this to subtract, and now you've got your scribe lines going through the ship where you want them. Something like that. Right? And it's reusing what you've already modeled, reusing what you've already made, right? right? So this is what I would probably start to look at and start to do. Is this is just another technique, which again, the idea here is which one is going to be the best for what you're trying to do on that model. Do you want to take the sculptural approach, or do you want to take a live Boolean approach, right? These are probably my two favorite techniques that I like to do for me personally. Realistically, there's also, you could, if you wanted to, if we went back to this model, okay, let's turn off all of this. Okay, this is polygrouped, right? So you could also, another way you could go about this, I don't tend to do this one personally. That's not the one I like to do. So you could, though, go, let's grab these again. Let's grab that. And now we're looking at just these. You could come down here in geometry, and then we can go to edge loop, and you can literally just use panel loops. And panel loops, if we turn off your polyframe, there you go. You're creating particular scribe lines right there with panel loops. And if I was doing this, I would probably also want to turn off the double and then hit it. That way this is all actually one mesh, right? And this is a great technique to do, see this softness one? This is a great technique where you can do, okay, let's go here to deformation. Let's do a polish of like 1. And then see, now you got softer, right? So it's a great thing for like, think about, if you look at this, it's almost like leather, more of like a hard leather type of look. It's not something that's super crisp edge like what we're making right now, the X-Wing. So this is a great technique. And I do a polish of 1 because then I can say, hey, repeat to active. And I can do another polish, another polish, another polish. And I can say, oh, that's more what I want. And then watch, then I can say, you know what? Let's even inflate balloon it a little bit. And now you've got something that looks like this, right? This looks almost like, look, a vehicle. Think of a chair. Look at like this, right? I want softer kind of changes in there. This is literally like our car seats in a way. It's a great way to do this. So this is another way. I don't tend to do this way, but it is an approach that you can have and you can go at it, okay? Does that make sense? Comics Legend, I think you're the one that was asking me that question. And I think because, Sweats, you made a good point. Let me do this. Let me actually put a screenshot up here so when people come, they know what we're trying to make here. Okay? And there you go. All right, so I'm going to start making some things in here. But feel free to keep asking questions. That's what we're here for. I want to make sure you guys are getting everything you can out of this. It's a lot cleaner. All right, Josh. Thank you. Glad that opened up some things. Oh, thanks. Or the glasses. You like the glasses, huh? Thank you. All right, so let's start making some more. I brought in images this time, where I can kind of start lining up images in space, and you can see I can really figure out the sizing of my X-Wing, what I wanted to do, right? So this is important for me. This is something I would want. So this is exactly what I'm looking for. I just want to start building this because as I start to come in here, maybe I can clearly see where things, if I'll make my brush size bigger so you guys can see it better, in here where things are going to sit exactly where I might want them. Same thing for any patterns on here, patterns in here. I can really start to see where they sit. But I, of course, as I said last time, I have the handy dandy, a model of the X-Wing here in my hand, a small one. I think this is just so invaluable because then I can go from every angle. In this case, I can take stuff off too if I wanted to. Oh, I used to come off. And then, I just lost something. I lost my dude. There you go. Like this, I can take stuff off, right, and kind of take a really good look at what this is doing. So for me, having a physical model it makes sense for me. It really does. Because then I can look at this and go, let me take a good look at this and see what is it that I want to start making. What details do I want to start going at? So let's start working a little bit more on the wing. Let's start finishing that up. I think I got the base mesh. I got everything where I want to as far as ratio. The only thing I can see maybe if I want to adjust is up here in the front. You can see this right here. I might want to adjust this a little bit. Okay. And so I might want to say, you know what, that needs to sit maybe a little bit more here. Maybe around there. And then make it come out like that. Have just a little bit more. Something that looks like that. I can turn off my floor. Okay, and then this is now too long. So this also needs to, change. So I'm gonna move that and just say, you know, let's bring that back so it's not sitting so much inside there. And I would say this is pretty close to what I would want. Good to go, right? Now let's start putting some details in and start looking at stuff that I would want to do for this. So let's go, I started doing some of the wing here. Okay, so let's start working on this portion of the wing over here. Let's start having some fun with this. Let's start getting some details on this. So one of the things that I really want to do, and this, I think this is a great technique too, so this will be a cool trick hopefully for you all as well. There's a pattern on the wing. So this piece right here has a pattern, okay? You'll also notice that when I turn on polyframe, only one of them actually have a polyframe. This is on purpose. What I'm using, and this is where I really love using this, is I'm using a ray mesh. All right, so I am, in essence, I have one piece of geometry. This first stage is making the left and right side for me. And then the second stage is making at the top and bottom in essence. Well, really, if I turn this off, the only thing I have on is this. This is it. This is the only thing. So it's good thing about this is I'm keeping my file size right now pretty darn low. It's fast to work. Oh, hey, Shane. What's up, man? Great to see you. Sculpt to print. Okay, so I am a big component of this. So this entire X-wing, the wings are actually just one. The entire wing, there's only one, and I'm just using a ray mesh to do all the rest. So here, I'm going to show you where this will come in benefit because we're going to start adding things to this. Okay, we're going to start looking at this and seeing what we can do and how we can add things to this. Okay, so I want to start making maybe some kind of pattern on this. Start looking at this in that way and seeing maybe what I can come up with that will work. Okay. So, looking at this one, it's pretty low in polygons. It's quite low. We'll turn the lines back on so you can see everything, all right? So it's not anything super dense. There's probably a lot of topology here I don't need. If I'm having all these spans, I might as well also just come here and put spans here too if I really wanted to. Think about it. Just so there's a little bit more consistency there. I don't think it's that necessary for me. But, maybe you do want that. I don't know. I'm okay with it. It doesn't bother me any, really that much. So I'll let you decide that. Okay, but what I want to do is I want a pattern on this right here, okay? So there's multiple things that we can use. So the one that could make sense for me the most is since we have something like dynamic, and this has a particular pattern. Let's see if we can find an image really quick. Let me put, because obviously I can see it pretty well on my model that I have in my hand, but I don't think the camera is really going to show it well for you guys. X-wing. All right, let me see if we can find a close-up really quick. Let's see if we luck out here. Close up, oops, on wing. Okay, let's see if we can find an image. Let's see how well this one works. It's gonna be a tough one to find, I think, because a lot of the images aren't getting close enough. Let's see what this person did. Someone's got a model here that's painted up from a model kit. There's not a lot of images there. trying to see if I can find a really good image of what I'm trying to do here for you guys, so you guys can get where my head's at, where I'm trying to go with this. Can't find a really good image. Okay, let's just see. So what I'm looking at is in here. There's in essence a pattern here. Okay, there's a pattern in this. Here, let's see. Let me see if Big Bad Toys model has a good close-up of the wing. No, of course not. Why would it for us? Why would it do that for us? Oh, wait, here. Let's go big. All right, here. This might help you guys. Okay, here we go. So you see there's a pattern right there? You guys see that? It's going to be tough for you probably to see. Okay, that right there. There's a pattern there of something, you know, repeating. Okay, so I want to make a pattern there. And to answer your question about the array mesh, to export it, yes, because array mesh is a ZBrush thing. So you would have to apply it in order to get it out to another application. Unless you're rendering with Keyshot, then we apply it for you when you send it to Keyshot if you're using the Keyshot bridge. And same thing for dynamic subdivision. It's a ZBrush thing. You have to apply it in order to send it to something else. Like if you're trying to get out in an application, yes, you would need to apply it. Absolutely. Okay. So what I want to highlight here is this has already got polygons. I'm already using dynamic subdivision. Okay, so I'm going to drop this way down to nothing. And what I'm going to use is micropoly. And I can say, hey, you know what? Let's get a pattern here, something like this. And this is now replacing the polygons. If I now go up 1, up 2, up 3, right? This is what I'm starting to get as a pattern. Okay, up 4, and then there you go. And then at any time, I can say, here, you know what? Let's switch it to something else. This is actually maybe what I want, is a little something more like this. Let's go smaller and smaller. Okay. And now you can see the patterns are going different directions. So that's what this alignment is here. If you align, then see now they're going all the same direction. Okay, so this is cool. Look, see, it's swapping it out. The problem is the pattern's ugly, right? It's not working that well for us. It's not looking very good. Not a fan of it. Not working well. The benefit of this micropoly is this is dynamically showing us this, but when I do go to convert, it will be physical topology for me, right? So it's either this approach, or I can make a pattern and use an alpha on this as well. It could be another way I can go about this, for sure. All right, so I can say, let's try this one. Let's do this one, okay? Because I want to show you guys something where I do use this one. And obviously you guys have turned this on ever. You'd be like, oh, that's really cool. But in this scenario, it ain't so cool. It's not working well for us at all because of this is looking at the polygons. And it's looking at the polygon size, and the micro polys being stretched across the polygons. That's what's happening here. So I'm going to overcome this. I'm going to say, you know what? I don't want it on here. No, thank you. Okay? I'm going to stick with having it dynamically divide, maybe. So it gives me a nice version of this. I'm going to duplicate this. I don't necessarily have to duplicate it, but I just find it could be a lot easier to do it this way. And I'm going to say, okay, let's duplicate it. Now I've got another one of this. Okay, so let's just focus on only this one. The beauty is, what else is duplicating? My array mesh is duplicating. I'm going to say the only thing I care about is the top portion, this green part. That's the only thing I actually care about and what's important to me, right? And then I'm going to say, let's delete the hidden now, right? So I'm going to delete. So now we're back to this. I'm actually going to turn off dynamic to the point where let's just, again, get back to this with nothing. And I'm going to say, let's get rid of some actual topology here. Like, let's get rid of some stuff. I'm going to say, I don't need this. I don't need this, or this. I definitely don't need this. And in fact, looking at this, I'm going to say, I'm going to go even to the route of, I don't need that face, or this face, or this face. Okay, and then I don't need that, and I don't need that. So I'm down to one polygon. And the only reason why I'm doing it this way, There's other ways to do this. As you can see, this lines up with my model. Like, it's sitting in the same area, same direction, same everything. I could do this with an insert mesh brush. 100%. Could totally do it. Okay? But I'm going this route. It's just what I like to do. I like to be different. You guys should also know that by me if you know me. All right, so I'm going to mask off the points back here. I'm going to switch to the gizmo. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click with the Alt key, press down. This vertex back here, I'm going to click. I'm going to drag and then snap to the other vertex point. So you can see that green arrow is aligned perfectly. That's like a cat. That's like, I wish, you know what? We're going to need, that's another little one we're going to need. I like that. The perfectly. We've got this for the users, but we don't have a oh man, I am making one for that. That is happening, people. That is happening. We've got Lisa needs braces. Lisa needs braces, but we need a perfectly one. Oh, I got to bring my Gundam back too. All right, so I'm going to stretch this across the entire thing. Something like that. Okay, I'm going to inverse it even, stretch it like this. Okay, I'm going to even say, let's go a little bit this direction as well. All right, and then here I'm going to go a little bit this direction. So in essence, I want this to be covered completely. If you look at it, really the thing I could have done was just taken a face from this too, because it's the same thing, right? It's the same exact thing. Guys, there's always, oh, back to the cat. There's always more than one way to skin a cat, okay? So why I'm doing this is I do want to use maybe micro poly. And I know that micro poly is all about the topology. Okay, and so what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to think of here is I'm going to turn on SMT and say, okay, let's not have a mask. Let's divide. Let's divide. Let's divide. Okay, let's divide. Right, and what am I making? I'm making a plane, right, that is getting equally distant types of polygons through here, right? They're giving me equidistant shapes here. This is what I'm looking for. You, of course, could just do this with ZModeler as well, right? Because there's nothing stopping me coming to ZModeler and saying insert multiple edge loops this way, and then going that way, and then there I have that. Now, I want this, okay, because I'm going to turn on dynamic. And now if I turn on micro polys, right, we are now getting the pattern that I want. It's there. So this is laying perfectly for me in the way that I want it to lay here. So now my next step is I come back to my reference and go, let's look how big these, oh, they're pretty tiny. So this is a little too big. Okay, so right now, every one of the polygons is getting swapped out with this. And what I'm going to do is now is I'm actually going to use dynamic subdiv to my benefit. And this is probably the one and only time I might not use the smooth. I might just use the flat. And any one of these sliders you move up, bingo, we just doubled it, right? Moved, or quadrupled it. Move up, bingo, we just quadrupled it, right? Looking at the print, it's probably a little bit more like this. I know I want to 3D print this, so I'm going to live more in this world. I want this to stand out a little bit more for me when I do go and 3D print this. That's going to be an important element for me to have, okay? And then now I've got the pattern that I want, right? And on my original issue when we started this process, I don't have these crazy number things and all this, right? It is consistent. It is the same looking pattern that I want to have. Boom, ready to go. Let's go. All right. Now, great, looks good, but it's not following the shape that is on the X-Wing. So that's an easy solve for me, people. That's an easy solve. Okay, so that part for me is done. And what I'm going to do is right here, I'm going to say, let's retake that top piece again. Let's duplicate it. All right, so I'm going to rename this. I'm going to say pattern cut. Actually, I'm going to call it intersect. All right, and then I'm going to move this below here. Let's rename this so we're keeping our names good. We're going to say wing pattern. Why not? Keep it simple. Keep it short. I'm a big fan of this. So what we have now is this start group right here has the original piece. So if we solo this out, we've got the original piece. We've got the pattern, which again, because I'm in array mesh, it's happening everywhere that I want it to have happening. Then I have another one of this, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one now and say, hey, I'm going to take this polygroup. I'm going to say QMesh, polygroup all, and I'm going to pull on this, but I'm going to hold the shift key so it just does this. So it just becomes larger, okay, like that. So now what we have is something that looks like this, okay? And I'm going to now say, you know what? I want this to be a new start group. And then I want this, okay, down here to turn in intersect. And then boom, we've got the pattern in the shape that I need to have it happening. So what I've done is I've created a plane to overcome the crazy pattern, okay? That solved that. Then I said, well, it needs to follow this shape here. So no biggie, reuse that shape with live Boolean to do an intersecting. So I am now started a new start group. So in essence, I've got the pattern being one, and I've got the live Boolean doing the other work for me. And now I've got this pattern where I want it, okay, and how are things I would want it to look like and what I'd want it to do. Okay, so this is an important thing for me. Now, intersecting is only looking at the physical pieces, right? So these pieces aren't physically there, aren't physically there, aren't physically there. So if I really want to see this, this is probably something then maybe I go, you know what I need to do is these two pieces, I need to commit them if I want that pattern so I can see it when I'm looking at it like this. If I want that pattern to be there, I need to commit to them. So if I wanted to, down here, in my array, I need to say, okay, there's two levels here. I'm going to say, okay, make mesh and make mesh. And now these are actual physical pieces of topology. As you can see now, they've all got polygrouping there. And so I needed to do the same thing for my intersecting piece, okay, that I'm using over here. I need to say, let's drop to the lowest. I'll turn off the extrude, make mesh, and then now you see the pattern in all parts of the wing, right? Because now there's physically that topology is there. So because I was using intersect, array mesh is saying, well, I can't give you all of them. And then there you go. So yeah, I'm using dynamic sieve micro poly with this. That's what I'm doing, power 300. Now, of course, a different technique, guys, would be we don't even have to necessarily do this whole thing. See, now I'm going on tangents. I'm going to turn off this start group where it has our pattern, and I'm going to go back to this one, okay, which is the repeating array mesh piece here. So what we can do is we could take advantage of this, okay, and this is where maybe I do want to have a little bit more topology through here. I want to make a little bit, maybe some consistency. So this is where maybe I would say, let's insert a single edge loop like here and say, let's have at least something a little bit more like maybe that. Maybe I would go even maybe go there and then go there. Just have a little bit more consistent topology through there. All right, and then I could say, all right, I'm going to save next right now. Let's just save my process that I've been at. Okay. All right, I'm going to say save as. Let's see, it's 17. Let's save this as number 18. Okay, there we go. So now, thinking of a different way to go about this, how about I use surface noise instead? Okay, so the first thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to say, hey, let's use UV master. Okay, so I'm going to say work on clone. So the only thing I get is this. I do not need an array mesh on the clone. So I'm going to delete the arrays. I only care about this. This is the only thing I care about. Okay, I've got multiple polygroups here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let's use those. Let's use the polygrouping. Let's unwrap. The unwrap is done. Let's flatten it. And now we've got this. Okay, so the most important thing for me is the green part. The green part is the most important portion for me. That's all I really care about for what I'm about to do. So I'm going to use the flatten ability. And with the floor grid, think about this as in essence UVs, 0 to 1, 0 to 1, right? Kind of, and then this is, you know, 1, 1. Okay? So this is 0, 0. This would be 0, 1. This would be 1, 0. Okay? So I'm going to do with the gizmo, I'm going to hold down the control key and click on the green polygroup. That's going to mask off everything else for me. All right? I'm just going to move this out of the way right now. I'm going to switch to this. I'm going to center. I'm switching my mask. And I'm going to say I'm going to put these kind of tiny up somewhere. I don't really honestly care about them. And I just want to just make sure, right, that I stay inside of the blue grid, floor grid right now. I'm going to say there. Let's turn our mask. Let's flip it and come back to this one. Let's put this in. And I'm going to say I want it to be like here. Let's reset that. And let's do something more like this. Now let's make it a lot bigger and take up a lot more UV space. Maybe something more like, let's say in this world. Good. I'm going to inverse this. And I'll move these down here now. And these can go bigger. I don't think it's necessary for what I'm going to do. But why not? Okay, so there's some UV space that I want. And then I'm on flattening. And then now I'm going to say, let's copy that UV. Let's go over to this. And then let's paste that UVs. So now we've got the same UVs that were on the clone are on this piece. And what I'm going to want to start doing now is saying, all right, we need some density here for what I'm about to do. So then I'm going to apply it. And then I'm going to say we need to divide up another one. Let's divide up another one. So now I'm around 3 million. Okay, perfect. Let's solo this out so we're only looking at this. And for the time being, let's, for the sake of time, just let's only look at this. And that's it. All right? So that a texture can be moved. Okay, wait. If you drag a texture onto a plane 3D using a drag rect brush, you can't move that texture around the plane 3D because it snaps to the points. Okay, I'll give it. I would use Spotlight, I think, for what you're trying to do. I wouldn't drag it out on a plane and paint it that way. I would use Spotlight. That would be a better way to go for what you're doing. Let me do this one first for you, where we're going. Let me see. I'm going on a massive tangent here. So I want to see, just to make it easy so I can get to that question as well. I want to see maybe if I have something already. Hold on. Give me a second. I'm really going on a tangent right now. Big time tangents. Don't think I have. Oh, what's the. No, that's not. I'm just seeing if I have something that is some kind of pattern. We might need to make a really fast one. We might have to. Okay. Well, we'll have some fun. You'll get it here in a second. Okay, so what I can do now is I can come to surface noise, right? I can say click on noise, right? And then now we have this noise right here on this piece. Okay, so I can say let's go a little bit stronger so you can see it. And I want something that's a little bit more of a pattern-driven thing. So I'm going to say noise plugin in this case. Okay, of course, it didn't like that. It crashed on me. That noise plugin, I need to take a look at that. It doesn't want to play friendly sometimes. Sorry, crashed on me. Let me get my last saved one. Load. Oh, it's just loading a lot of models for me right now. A memento. Which I actually not going to have this one saved out. So I'm going to need to do the UVs again. Okay, there. Okay, there we go. Back at it. So again, let's repeat the process. I'm going to click on this one over here. And let's go ahead again. I'm going to say, let's geometry. Let's turn this off for now so we're seeing this. I'm going to add a couple edge loops. I'm going to put one there, put one there, put one there. Let's actually go. That's good enough. There we go. Okay. Then we're going to do a little workaroo on a clone. Let's do some more UVing on this. I don't need the array mesh on right now, that's for sure. I'm going to say use polygroups, unwrap it. Then we're going to flatten it. Okay. And once again, I'm going to mask this off. We'll move this just out of the way for now. I'm going to inverse it. Let's put this, I already know I want it in that corner. Inverse it. And then let's bring this back up and say this. And let's go this direction with it. Like that. Good. Good. Good, 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 good enough. I'm going to copy my UVs, come back to this one, paste my UVs. We're going to now turn on my dynamic and apply it. And I want to get some more topology here for sure. There's 3 million. And then I'm going to go surface once again, create some noise on here, through here, okay? We'll bump it up just a bit. And then I'm going to say, let's use just an alpha this time. We can try using that. I think I have a pattern. Now we're going to make one. Let's see what I got here. I'm just seeing if I have something that's a cool pattern real quick. I know I have some stuff. Okay, here's an image, right? I'm going to say I don't want any masking. And let's really bump it up a little bit more. And then now I'm going to make the scaling here. So let's go this direction. Okay, this is now like a circle pattern. Okay, so if I just keep going smaller and smaller and smaller with this, it's just creating this pattern. Okay, but this is dependent, as you can see, it's stretching here and stuff. So what I want to do is switch it to UVs. So it's just looking only at the UV. And then now this, I can play with that. And you can see that pattern is just part of the mesh in essence, right? So I can do this. I can say go bigger, go smaller, say okay. And then now this pattern is just being put on here, right? Something like this. And now this, I'm visually looking at it, but now if I want to apply it, I need to apply it. So I might mask off everything else but that. And then now you apply to mesh, and now it's actually physically applied. And so now every one of these are going to have that pattern. Right? This is something, again, that I might do. Okay, does that make sense? So this is just another way to attack it. So the texture can't be moved. You would need to need UV space, obviously, to do that. Surface noise right now doesn't allow you to move the image around. So you would have to go back into UV space and move the image, and it'll move the texture around in this case. So this is why that is the one thing that's missing here in this workflow, is obviously if we had a UV editor in ZBrush, it'd be really easy. Or if we allowed the image to be moved around with the sliders, then we could do that, but we don't right now. Okay, so this would be another approach to this. I kind of like the live Boolean approach personally. For me, I kind of prefer the one that we did with live Boolean, which now I'd have to rebuild because I crashed. unless I saved it. I don't know if I saved it. Okay. How do I quickly deselect polygon selection in ZModeler? Okay, so I'm assuming you're referring to when I'm in ZModeler and you do this, right? You're referring to this, and now you want to deselect like that, right? Or you want to deselect all of them like that. I'm assuming this is what you are referring to mellow, comma. Hopefully I'm saying that correct. And then I know there's a question I did not answer because I went on a crazy tangent that someone asked if they're still here. Where did it go? Hold on. There's someone. Is the person I was asking about perpetual still here? Well, the answer to the question is there is no more perpetual. You can't get perpetual anymore. We're a subscription-only company now. So there's only subscriptions. There are no more perpetual. Is this what you were looking for? To mellow? Is I'm selecting this, and now maybe I want to deselect some, like this. Or maybe I just want to deselect all of them. So how you're doing this is obviously I'm holding the Alt key, and then I'm just dragging while my finger's got Alt key on. Okay? If I want to deselect, hold the Alt key and then just tap on the ones you want to deselect, and ZBrush will put it back to the original polygroup. If I want to deselect all of them, hold the Alt key and double tap on one of the white polygons, and then we'll deselect all of them for you. So that's it. That's all I was doing when I was going at this. Okay? That's it. That's all I was doing. And in fact, guys, actually, I think, didn't I save it? Let me load my tool. Didn't I save this? Oh, no, no, no. Music to my ears. 18. Yep. So here we go. So I still have my pattern. There we go. Okay. So I want to continue now, just keep building upon this as we go. So I've got my pattern now. I'm good to go there. And now let me just continue building stuff that's on this wing. I'm assuming I've answered the questions that you were asking in particular. All right. So I'm looking like I need some polygon edges here. All right. So let's do that next. That's a simple one. Just adding some simple accent pieces to the wing. That'll be easy. So in here, okay, we'll turn dynamic on. I'm going to say brush insert. I'm going to say this primitive. I'm going to grab the quick cube, and I'm going to say, all right, I want a cube here. And then I am going to make that sit more in the surface like that. And then I want to be more of a rectangular shape. And not only that, I'm going to go ahead and say, let's crease this up so it comes a little bit more squared like this. And say, let's bring this down. And in fact, I am going to, in dynamic, besides the smooth, okay, no, I don't want it to happen in the whole thing. I'm going to say, I'm going to keep it like this. So what I'm going to do is take a look at this and say, let's solo this out so we can just look at this. And I'm going to say brush ZModeler. Let's go maybe a bevel like this. And I'm going to say flat island. Add a little bit of a bevel. And I want, I'm going to say actually, let's do, instead of that, let's do an edge bevel. And let's just go around. Oops, wrong one. I guess not seeing the faces very well. That way. There, add a little bit of a bevel to it. Okay, I just want a little bit of some sharpness in there. Just a little bit. Or you know what? Actually, I think I want to go, let's do, instead of that, let's do an inset. And I'll say flat island. And then let's do an inset here. Inset flat, oh, flat inner. Flat island would help. Let's do a little bit of a flat island. And let's Q mesh polygroup all. And let's just have it raised just a bit. Let's give it something like that. Let's see if that looks like creased a little bit. So I'm going to say let's crease PG. And now let's just look at these. I'll do a crease all. Give it just a little bit of a raised look. Not something too serious. Something like that. And then I'm going to say let's put another one here. And then put another one next to it, like right there. Something like that. Just adding another element there. Okay. It's got something like that in there, so I'm going to position them like that. I'm happy with that. Let's go towards the back space now. And we need to do a little bit of a raised surface here. All right. So I'm going to say, let's do that. Let's take this part and say, let's looking at this image. Okay, I think that gap's good. We're good there. And I'm going to say, let's raise this up a little bit. Okay, I think this is a little too aggressive for me. I'm going to move this in space by doing some simple masking. Let's bring it more around there. And then let's take this and a little bit more there. And I think I might want to do here, in all honesty, is move all of this a little bit, possibly. Let me look. No, it's got to have a bigger gap. Yeah, I need a bigger gap. That's my problem. So, hence again, guys, why I like having the physical piece. I need a bigger gap in here. And then I'm going to make this go a little bit smaller. A little bit bigger of a gap through there. And then now let's actually, welcome to being an artist, being nitpicky. Kind of like, well, you know, I'm 3D printing it, so I'm going to actually keep the overlap. I'm going to break a little bit of what it's doing here, just for the sake of 3D printing. So I'm going to do that. Then I'm going to say, okay, this portion, all right, so what I'm going to say is this here, let's give it a new polygroup, something like this. And let's give this new polygroups. Okay, a little something like this. Or, you know, looking at it, it might be better doing the opposite here. Might be better to do the opposite here. So I got some polygroups, so I think I'm going to do the opposite for me here. I'm going to make this be a new polygroup. Okay? And what I actually want to do is I want, oops, something like this. So in essence, I want to make a little ridge there. Okay? Some kind of little ridge just right through here. And then let's do it there, there. It's getting something like this. Okay, so what we can do is to stay consistent a little bit more. Coming back, I can say Q polygroup all and do them all at once. Creating a little lip in there. All right, let's convert these little yellow pieces here to the blue as well. Just the top versions of these. Copy and paste that really quick. And we're going to keep this. Oops. There we go. And now Q mesh down into that. Let me look how really tall it is. Okay, it's not that tall. It's pretty good. I want to see, maybe I might want to go down another. So this starts to look like now. Let's crease this. Let's crease. Oh, I'm doing, sorry, wrong action here. I'm going to say let's crease, complete edge loop. Let's get that. And then I'll crease a single one there. Again, because I'm a ray mesh, the other portions are being taken care of for me, right? So this makes my job a lot easier. So now I want a little bit more of a ridge like that. Let's something a little bit more like that. And now it looks like we need another edge loop actually here. Like that. Make it a little bit more stronger. And now we've got this ridge happening. And now I think I'm going to go a little bit higher. So now I'm going to say Q mesh. Polygroup all. I'm going to pull up on this, but just hold the shift key. A little bit more, especially since I'm 3D printing. Okay, so I want to have a little bit more of a lip through there for sure. Okay, I'm going to take a look at this and see. Okay, I can see some things I did actually get off here that I want to adjust, that I want to fix. I got some things that are wrong for me that I had been changing and playing with the size of my stuff, so I have made my life a little bit more difficult on this one. So I'm going to say let's grab one of these. I'm going to turn on the pizza boxes and then say I only want this stuff that makes up this guy, right? This is going to allow me to actually do things like this, move it in space a little bit, things like that. Okay. So if I turn on the floor, it looks like I am pretty good actually looking at the image. So I think this is my problem. Pretty good there, pretty good there. So it looks like I have a different problem. It's not that, it's this is my problem. This one is the problem. And I think I need, interesting, let's turn that floor grid back on. Okay, it's sitting there, looking good there. Okay, so here I can see a little bit of where I'm off. Based upon this image, I've made this a lot bigger than what it needs to be. That's what my problem is a little bit as well. So I need to fix this. That's my problem, child. That's my problem, child. I think it's this. This is not looking, let me look at this. Yeah, I have, I think, gone a little too big with this piece, for sure. This is looking like a little bit of what my problem is. Okay, so now that I've seen this, I'm actually going to get rid of that pattern because I'm going to need to redo it, right? And this happens. This happens. So we'll keep the plane. I just need to delete this one. Because we're going to make we're going to make some changes here. Okay, we're going to delete that. We're going to come back to this because this is off. This is not correct. All right, we'll let it save. I don't think. Are you asking if anybody from Maxon is watching this stream? I doubt it. I don't know. No clue. I'm not that entertaining. So new subtools will take on the property of the array mesh settings. So you don't need to copy and paste. So if you duplicate, okay, if you duplicate, then it takes everything, including the array mesh. If you're appending a completely new subtool, then you'll need to copy and paste Comics Legend. Okay. What is the difference between edge loop and edge loop partial? Never really understood it. Okay. Let's come back to that. Let me fix this before my brain goes, we need to get this fixed, okay? So let me, I don't need this edge. I don't need these. Let's delete some edges here. I don't need all these edges. I'm going to keep that one. I'm going to keep that one. Okay, so this, I have definitely need to adjust this. So I'm going to go, it needs to come way in here. Looking at this, I made this way too big. I'm going to say right about there. And then for sure, this is going to need to get adjusted as well. So I'm going to flip this. This time I'm going to use a deformer though. And I'm going to, let's see, is this right? Yeah, this is wrong too. Okay. So I'm going to say, now let's do this. And this needs to come in more like around there. There, that's better. Let me double check again. Looking at my handy dandy model. Yes. I would say I could probably go more. Oh, I see. I could go a lot more, I think, as well still. I can still keep going a little bit more here. And then I'm going to say accept that, and I'm going to flip it, and I would say this can go even a little bit more aggressive. There. I think that's looking more nice. And then this, oops, this needs to now be adjusted. Let's turn off polyframe. For the time being, let's turn off this pattern. It's distracting me right now. Okay, and let's go back to this. This needs some major adjustments now. I'd say this edge loop here now needs to come way down like this. Something like that instead. There we go. I'm going more in that world. That's the world I'm gonna live in. That's what I'm living in right there. That right there is what I prefer. Let me double check. Always double check. Yeah, I could say actually it wouldn't hurt to go a little bit more. Just a bit more. Something like that. I think also, looking at the floor, I think I do need to adjust a little bit of this. So let me look at this. Comes up. It is a little bit longer, that's for sure. And I think that needs to sit in a different space. Okay. All right. That needs to be a little bit bigger. Okay. So I would say this needs to come out a little bit more. So this part here. I'm gonna make that come out a little bit more. And then these pieces, looking at them, I'm gonna make these get I'm gonna leave that one alone. I'm gonna leave that one alone. And let's leave that alone. But let's, okay, so this has got different positions. So let's, there we go. Show everything back into here and make a little bit more of adjustment. Back here, you know, we can play safe and extrude. So something more like that. I'm going to say this piece, this part, okay, this repeating pattern here. I'm going to move this a little bit. Oops. Looking at the wrong side. Something more like that. Okay. There we go. I like that. And then now this, I am going to move all of this a little bit more that direction. There. Okay, now we're talking. Now we're more what I want. And then our pattern is, I think this is our pattern, yep. And now we need to duplicate this. This is going to go underneath the pattern. Let's rename this pattern cut. Okay, I'm actually going to do save next, save that, and then now, as we all know, we need this to have more, just a little bit more there, and we'll turn that into an intersect, and we're back. All right, back and running. We'll save another next, just to play safe. Oh, hey Ashley, welcome. Nice, Rodolfo. Love it. Okay, so the difference between, since you asked, insert edge loop and partial edge loop is, let me show you the easiest way to show this to you to make an understanding. I'll do a couple things here. I'm gonna do a couple things here. So let's go here. Let's take this. And I'm gonna have a little bit of shading here. Okay, let's take a cube. Here you go. Let's do this. Let's take the top half of our cube and let's also inset it here. Okay, so what is the difference between creasing, when you go to crease and you crease partial compared to complete loop? Well, let's do both so you guys can see it. Let me find visually. Okay, that looks probably pretty good. So when you crease, see complete, if you notice in this scenario, this went up and then it continued here and then continued across. Okay? If we do a partial, all right, you see it goes up, goes to here, but stops. It does not go this direction or this direction, because that edge loop, in essence, is stopping there, because now it's turning 90 degrees and going this way. Yeah, all my titles are wrong, unfortunately. I am Daisuke right now. So what's going up the edge, and then it's turning a corner. That is more of a poly loop, because it's looping around, right? So that's what a poly loop is more also for. It's looking at what we want to do with poly loops as well. Okay, so this is also, if we undo this, if we go and say crease complete edge loop, you can see it's going around, okay? And then partial, see it's stopping, it doesn't go around. So if we do Control W, so you can see this only from here to here is creased. Nothing over here is creased. If we go complete, it goes around. See, it's going around. That's what it's doing, okay? And then if you want to crease, by the way, since we're talking about this, man, I don't know if you guys can visually see this. This is something that's on the list for sure. Let's maybe, what if we get rid of the fill? Not really helping. Okay, so I don't know how well it's coming out on screen for you guys. But these edges right here are what is creased. This right here. Okay, in fact, here, let's do this, because now you'll see it a lot better. And let's do let's divide it up so it's really smooth. Okay, so now you can clearly see what's creased and what's not creased. By the way, if you guys are not aware of this, you see now how it went this way? Like if I want to crease this side, okay, I know how to control that. If I want to crease this side, I can do that instead. So now I'm creasing the opposite side. And so there is a way that you can control this in ZModeler. All right, and this is on purpose that I am switching. So here's the crease edge, but you see there's still a red box? We're using that. So if I have the red box on this side, it's the opposite side. It's going to crease this side. If I put the red box and just move my hand a little bit so the red box flips to the other side, it's now going to give me the faces that are closer to me, and that edge is now what's creased. Didn't know if you know that, but that is what you're doing. So I would say, yeah, it's around probably close to a 45 degree if I had to guess. Yes, it's probably somewhere around living in that world. That'd be something as I'd have to go double check and take a dive into the code and see really what that is. Okay? But that's the difference between crease all or crease partial. Is it's about, do you want to keep going all around the edge loop, or do you want to just crease to a certain area? Yes, if you save this as an FBX, oh, see, Ashley, you're answering. Thanks. I think there was another question that came up. Okay, crease the edge loop. Never just gonna. I couldn't answer the professional one. Couldn't tell you if we'll ever bring it back. No idea. It's not my decision. It's a company decision, the way that we operate. We're a subscription-only company now. Is there a hotkey to toggle current subtools paint layer on and off, or can it be done with a macro? Poly paint can be assigned a hotkey if you wanted to. So the subtool, obviously, you have this little icon here to turn it on and off. But if you go to poly paint, colorized is turning. It's the same thing. So when you open this, right, we'd make this smaller. You can see when I turn colorized, that little paintbrush is on up. So you can assign a hotkey here and then save that out. So that's how you can assign a hotkey to polypaint. That one's an easy one. There you go. That's an easy one for that. And then I see Ashley got your other question about exporting. I love it. Recipes. Okay, I'm set. The time. Okay, good. All right, I caught up on the questions. Let's get back to Mr. X-Wing here. All right, so this is where I'm at. I am going to continue, just starting to continue hammering this portion out in the back here. So we'll turn on our fill so I can see my polygroups again. Looking at this, I definitely need some new other topology. So I'm gonna go, let's have some more fun with this. And go, okay. Let's go here, and then I see something here that I want to change a little bit. Now that I've done that, I've messed this portion up. See, I've messing up. So I want this to be changed. Okay, and I want a different insert edge here. And we're going to crease that. And then this, I need to pull out now. Let's do this. I have done something else. Okay, there we go. So let's insert an edge. Oh, I got it masked. Oops. Insert. And we're going to put one right there. And then I want it to go all the way up into here. So I really only need, I'm going to stay consistent. I'm going to just play consistent here. Game. I want this and this wrong ones. It's one of those days. I want these to Q mesh out. And I'm going to crease this first. And then I'll just Q mesh this. Make a new polygroup. There we go. I want that little creaseness there. Crease that. Crease that. There we go. Need that lip. I need my little lip back. I got rid of my lip. Okay, there we go. Now I gotta decide, do I, let's look at this. Looking at this, I need to make a decision here now. Do I just want to do the low polygon way of this? I guess I will. All right, so I need something here. So I'm gonna delete this one. Let's go insert. I'm gonna get rid of this. I need one that's here. I'm gonna say right about there. And then I need another one up a little bit here. Okay, so I'm gonna take a look at this. I'm gonna go with, we might be better. Let's see. Guess I will do that. I will. Guys, welcome to me thinking this through and talking to myself. Congratulations. You nailed it. All right, so this one needs to slide down a little bit more. We'll go complete edge. I'll slide that down a little bit more. Then I'm going to insert one there. And I'm going to keep this relatively close. Insert another one there. And I'm going to slide this a little bit more down around in there. Okay? Looks good. What time is it? All right. And then now I need, okay, this face, this face, this face, this face, this face, and this face. And just Q mesh it up. Let's make a little bit of a, let's go a little bit of a ridgy here. There we go. All right, that looks good. Now let's divide that. Okay, I want it to round there. So I'm gonna say here, I don't know why, but I always say like it'd be faster to do this and just crease, crease, crease. So I want this to start happening. I want that to start happening. So crease, crease, crease. I want something like that to happen. And let me take look at the one on the side again. This is a personal preference thing, I believe. I'm gonna say, let's uncrease. Whoops. Let's uncrease these edges right here. I'm gonna increase this. I'm gonna increase this. And I'm gonna have it round out like that. Yes. Yes. Okay, and these are got a little too much movement in them. Now that I'm seeing them, I'm gonna say let's add an edge loop there. Let's add an edge loop there. Same thing inside here. Let's get a little bit more of a shadow casting through there. A bit more something in that vein, in that world. And then let's come across. Let's come across here and do that. And then now we've got that. All right, let's take a look what that looks like, giving me what I want everywhere. Okay, and then the back part of 3 of them, yeah, all 3 of them also need that. Okay, so I need to make another level of that, which, oh, I pretty much got there. All right, close, close, close. I'm gonna slide this to be a little bit bigger. I want this one, and this one now to Q meshed. Go another, make different polygroups, and bingo. Now we want this completely creased. So I'm going to do a complete edge loop. Boom, I want that. Completely creased. That works for me. And then I want that creased. I only want, so let's go, oops, back to this. And I want that creased. I want that creased. I want that creased. Definitely don't want this creased. I want that creased like that. This is the look I want to have. Something like that. Yeah, that's working for me. Okay, and now we've got this. All right, let's okay, I'm gonna say right now, let's get rid of this. Whoops. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. Let's get a little more consistent here. So I'm going to slide right around there. Now let's insert right around there. And then let's do a multi, keep it. Let's do something like that. Just a little bit more consistency for me right there. Okay. And oops, insert something more in that world. Something around there. And we need another one there. There. Okay, so going the polygon route. The low polygon route is what I'm doing here. And actually, looking at this, we could use, we need an edge loop here. Right when I need this. Actually, we need the edge loop more there. And so this needs to slide this direction. And then it's going to go all the way to the edge, so I'm good there. And we'll make another insert edge here. And then this QQQQ mesh. This gets bumped up. Make that a different poly group. So that looks with smoothing on. Okay, I'll come to the questions and the stuff here in a second. Then I'm going to Q-mesh crease it. Okay, that's what I want there. And let's also do it on this side. Want that there. And now we need an edge loop here and an edge loop here to just kind of button that up a little bit more. And I don't want that creased. In fact, we don't need to increase any of this. We're never going to see it. Good to go. And I want to go a little bit more tighter in here, a little bit more tighter in there, and I'll go more tight in there, so it's something more like that. And then now that is there. And I think I'm going to I want this to be a little bit wider. So I'm actually going to go, let's slide. Let's make sure I'm getting what I want. Let's slide this a little bit more this direction. I want it just to be a little bit fatter there. Again, I'm planning to 3D print this. So I'm adding some little bit more volumes here to get that print that I want and where I want to go. What's up, Steven? Hi. How are you? And then the last one, I want a little polygon here. Looks like I want this to go up quite a bit. So we need now another insert here. Whoops. I need to insert a single edge here. And then one here. Let's go there. And I would say a little bit more up in this end of the world. And now we'll Q mesh that up. Q mesh that up. There we go. I think for the sake of this, I think I am going to go a little bit wider too. Just that, and then that, and then now we need this creased. We need that creased. We need that creased. Oops. That creased. That creased. And then I think that's good. Works for me. Yes. There we go. Now let's do a save next. So I got a saved version of this. Now let me come to what I've been missing this whole time. Well, I started just sculpting. Okay, Hockey got it. Cooking, love it. Ashley got you there. Blender's creasing should work, but double check the FBX that you're using, because there are different types of FBXs. There's not just one type of FBX. There's ASCII. There's also binary. So you might want to look at that possibly. Is there a function to alternate alphas similar to ZBrush? Yes, there is a way that we could do this that will work. Okay, so let me answer that. Is there a cool way to ZBrush just a polygroup that's having trouble and keep the rest the same without splitting it out and rewelding? Yes and no. Doing well. Joseph Druss is at gaming, so he works for Hasbro. He's been there for years now. I think it's now been 4 years. He's been there. Ashley's answering your question. Blood Rapture, which I still love that name. Thanks for joining again. Paul, when I 3D print, do cuts and keys, how much tolerance do you add in the Boolean shape in order for the key to fit nicely? And really, that one comes down to the size, right? If you're printing something kind of tiny, you'll probably need a bigger tolerance. If you're printing something really big, you won't need such a big tolerance. So I use it in, like, if something kind of small, like it's going to be maybe like this, say this is going to be 6 inches across the wingspan, I might do an inflate of like 2 for that, and then it'll also fit tight. But I might go 4 just so I have some room for some glue. If it's a lot bigger than 2, an inflate of 2 is going to be way bigger in size because it's all relevant by that. So that's something you want to think about. Okay, so the question about the zero measure got answered. What was the one I was going to come back to? Where'd it go? Ashley got your no. Oh, I'm trying to find the one that I was going to answer. Ah, okay, the alpha one. There we go. Okay, so what you could do here, let's grab this. Okay, let's just grab a chisel, because technically these are like, this is a 3D mesh alpha, right? These are VDMs. Okay, so if you wanted to cycle through them, this is your question, right? I'm assuming you want to cycle through this. So technically, these are like an alpha. So you could cycle through these if you wanted to. All right, so all you have to do is in the brush palette, because these are sitting in this world, this slider now will come useful. So now if I do this, see, it moves on to the next ones for me. So I can also go to number 3, which is random, and let it select whatever mesh it wants. So this is a way you could cycle through alphas as you're drawing out. Okay, so this is like a VDM. So for you, let's say you want this. If you, in the alpha palette, okay, you have an alpha. Let's say our alpha, again, these are VDMs, but let's say you're just dealing with a 2D alpha, right? Let's actually dock this and look at this. I'm going to put it over here. I prefer it over here. Okay, so when I'm doing this, all right, there is a way to, in essence, say to mesh, and then now it just took your alpha and made it. Okay, so this could be an approach that you can look at and make this way. Okay, so I would say this could be one thing that you could do. You could take these alphas and then make this. All right, that way. If you had also an insert mesh brush, you can say from IMM, right? And it's making them all. But you can say 1, and then now you've got, you know, just one alpha that you want to, right? From IMM. And it is now making, so if I switch to this, there I've got just that alpha, 2. And then I can say even 2 mesh. I know if I selected it, and then now there's that alpha. Right? So then what you could do is you could write, kind of do this where you're having all these be what you want. Okay? And then now you just need to say, okay, I want these to be in a brush. So the best thing to be now is, see, I'm making these, is just now append. Say append that one, append this one. So now I've got several. And let's say I'm going to use the layer brush from this, and now in brush, in create, I can say multiple alpha brush, and it just created and took the subtools, and now they're in alpha. So now when I draw this out, okay, we'd want probably drag rectangle, and I'll go full blast. Now you're drawing this, so I don't want full blast here. And let's go a lot more better topology. And then now there's an alpha. And then now I can click, right, and get a different one, click, get a different one that I want, right? Can have doing stuff like this. Okay? So this is now alphas. And then obviously you can do that. So back to the brush. If you are on your modifiers, I can say random. Now every time I draw out, right, I would want ZBrush to randomly cycle through these in a way. So it should, it's interesting that it's not, it is randomly. No, it did switch there. Switch there, this is in there, that one's switched. Huh, okay, I have to see. That's interesting. Maybe it's the prime number of 3. That one changed. Okay, something with the, it's definitely doing what I want. Okay, so you see how bad this one is? I would probably go adjust this one. Personally, I think this is too aggressive. So I would be looking at this and saying, I just need this to come down a lot. Right? So you could just then say, either you could try just using a clip and just say, I just need this to come way down a lot more, and then just clip it, right? So then this is going to be not so aggressive of an alpha, right? Something like that. And then now I can say, now that I have this, I can just say from mesh and say okay, right? And it grabs this, but I can go brush, and then it picked it up from mesh, and now I can draw this out, right? And then I can see, okay, what kind of intensity can I play with here now? Right, so this is a workflow you could do. definitely. It is a possibility. So in essence, just make planes and then have an alpha on it and then tell ZBrush to pick them all up on a brush using the create. This one right here, create multi-alpha, and then it'll pick them all up and put them in one brush for you. Is that good? Is that something what you're looking for? Okay. If I can use a map to paint where trees are located, can I use the created alpha map to pop up my 3D trees on a surface where the alpha is applied? All right, let me wrap my head around this one. Hold on. If I can use a map to paint where the trees are located, okay, so you're thinking poly paint or masking. Can I use the created alpha map to pop up my 3D trees on a surface where the alpha is applied? Okay, so I'm trying to put this more in a simpler context. So you want to use, say, a map that has, I don't know, little dots, some dots somewhere in space. And then wherever those dots are, you want a tree to actually appear. Is that what you're asking? Something like that? Is that what you're asking for? Something like that? And obviously there's a delay, so I gotta wait for your delay. If that's what I get, what you're trying to go for. Okay. Because you could obviously use geographic map. No, I think where you're trying to go, no, I wouldn't use ZBrush for that. But there is ways to use polygrouping to populate your trees. So sure, you could use that geographical map and make that a polygroup, and then you can assign that polygroup how you want. So let me see if I can, let me see if we can find a map really quick. That might give you, making sure I'm grasping also everything. Okay, let's see if we can find a good one. I'm gonna add height because I think that's what I think is what you're looking for, is what I think you're looking for, but we'll see. I want a smaller close-up one. I guess this might work. I don't know, let's try. Save image as. Gosh darn it. It's in there. Okay, file. Export this. I'm assuming this is what you're looking for, okay? All right, let's, what did I do with my pen? There's my pen. I gotta put this up a little bit. The mic's in my way. All right, let's grab a plane, make it a poly mesh. Let's say, probably gonna be able to density. I'm thinking about this in a different context. I could do an insert. I could probably, okay. This will be an experiment. I'm gonna say maybe this might be enough. Let's see. Let's go to texture. Let's import that texture. Let me grab Antarctica. This is going to the person also that was asking about images floating around, where I said I would use Spotlight. This is why I would use Spotlight. So I'm going to say, let's say we do this. All right. And let's go brush, paint. Let's turn on the Spotlight. Might need to go a little bit more. Maybe not. It'll be. I'm intrigued. I'm interested. Let's just go with the bigger brush size here. Make this faster. Faster, faster. You know, let's go up one level. Let's go up one more. Yeah, I don't think I need to go any more than that. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, so I can then maybe use this and say in ZBrush, I can say let's use that poly paint and let's make it polygroups. Okay, so wrong one. I want to turn this into a polygroup. So I'm in the wrong menu. Polygroup, polygroup, polygroups. And I want to say from poly paint. And now this, let's turn off the paint real quick. It's making like polygroups. So there's a tolerance. This will look at. Where'd you go? Here you go. So you can have a little bit more of a tolerance and see what it gets, right? Okay, so something like this. Then I would delete the topology. And then let's turn off the paint. And now you have is polygroups. Oops. So this is what you see, okay? And now I can say brush, insert. I'm just going to do something like not great here, okay? And I'm going to say let's create this to be a nano mesh. And now a nano mesh, okay, I'm going to turn the line on, can look at a polygon, but what it also can look at is polygrouping. And when you draw out, all of those polygroups will get populated. See with this? And let's go have a little more fun with this. We can make it a little bit bigger so you can see it like that, right? I can rotate it different directions. So now they're standing, kind of. I can do an offsets. Have them come off. But then I can also just randomly have those go. And now they're just randomly going. Is this something what you're thinking of? I'm guessing. Is that what you're thinking of? Something a little bit like that? Blood Rapture. We're pretty much going the same thought process. Nice thought. Yeah. So this is one way you could go about it, for sure. Trying to think if there's anything else that pops in my head that could be a cool technique as well that I'm trying to think of. Okay, so that's what you were thinking of, something like that. Okay. Obviously, polygon count is important. The thought process of this would be important. So if you wanted to get bigger polygons this way, one thing that you could do, right, if we do this, like I want to change these up, there's just too many polygons, you could then say, let's do a Z-remesh, but let's turn on keep groups, and then let's just remesh it and see what it does. I don't know what it's going to do, but let's see if I can get, so I'm at 66,000. See what we get. There, see now you're 5,000, right? So now they're smaller polygons too. So I might say, you know, let's just cut it in half, right? So this is why people would want to use the half. And then obviously your polygons will get a little bit bigger. There, right? So now that's half. So you could still do this technique. You see, I didn't lose my nanos because they're driven by polygroups. And then I can do it again, and now I'll be more in the 16,000 range. So that you could go this route. There, and now these are a lot bigger polygons. So why do you care? Because it's easier than with nano, right? Because then you can grab something else and see it's faster, easier to manipulate, use, because now you're just doing that. Does that make sense? Okay, any other questions pop up before we call it done? So next week I'm not going to be able to stream. So guys, I'm going on Fridays at the same time, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I think I need to pull myself from the schedule next Friday, so I will not be available next Friday. but the Friday after is going to be a yes. So just keep an eye on our schedule and our calendar. You guys have access to our calendar at all times. So let me grab that too while I'm talking. If you have another question that pops up, by all means, fire away. I'll do my best to answer it for you. I really need to try and just also get that X-Wing further along so we have more stuff to talk about for us. Whoops. Wrong thing. Oh, God. It keeps... Hold on, sorry. It keeps... My keyboard's way over here. And it's hard to write with one hand. All right. And then calendar. Okay, so if you haven't already, here is the calendar for you guys, in case you need it. So take a look at that calendar. You'll see everybody streaming. Like I said, I'm gonna need to pull myself from the 7th, so I won't be streaming the 7th. And the 14th, I will be streaming. But the following, I'm at GDC. Anybody going to GDC in here? Gamer Developer Conference in San Francisco. Anybody going to that? Love to meet you in person if you're going. So Comics Legend, when I commit my Boolean panels, yeah, sometimes I'll run a smooth, but honestly what I'll run is a Sculptural Pro smooth, or after you commit them, you could use Bevel Pro if you want them rounded, nice and rounded and smooth. I would just use Bevel Pro for that instead. That's what Bevel Pro was built for. So you could do that as well. But if you want to be quick and dirty, you could use Sculptural Pro to also do it. I've done that in the past. So those are my two techniques if I'm trying to soften the between the Boolean intersectings. That's what I'll do. Anybody, everybody. Okay. No one going to GDC. Okay. Any other questions? Unfortunately, I gotta get going. I have to go pick up my daughter at school, her school. So I'm going to need to get going, or else I'd stay and sit talk to you guys for multiple more hours. But if there's no other question, we'll call this one done. And hopefully if you do end up going to GDC, please come by our booth. We have a Maxon booth at GDC in San Francisco, Gamers Developer Conference, which is in literally like 3 weeks, or really 2.5 weeks. Rodolfo, thanks. You're too kind. The stream, I think, was okie dokies. I got to get going on this X-Wing and just get further along with him. I want to build my scene above him. Did I? I don't even remember if I saved him, so let's save him. Let's save him just in case I didn't save him. Alright, let's go here and do a save next. Saved. I like to save next. That's one of my faves. Okay. All right, everybody. You have a delicious weekend. Enjoy yourself. Be safe. Get to ZBrushing. Please share your work on ZBrush Central. I love seeing the work that you guys are posting there. If you guys don't know, we have staff picks now where we are all picking favorite pieces that we like. And then we're picking ones to be featured in our second row on ZBrush Central. So please keep posting. We love seeing what you're doing and how you're working. So definitely keep that going. If you have any other questions, get ready for some more fun, fantastic streaming in a couple Fridays. Really appreciate you coming here and being with me. All right. Again, have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful weekend. I'm Paul Gaboury with